All right, let's talk about something we all chase: self-improvement. And usually we think that means adding more to our lives, right? More habits, more goals, just more effort. But what if that's all wrong? What if the real secret to growth isn't about adding anything at all? What if it's actually about taking things away? This is the big idea we're going to unpack. See, there are these invisible forces in your life, things that are quietly draining your energy, literally reshaping your brain, and defining who you are. And a lot of the time, you don't even notice it's happening. And here's the kicker: if you don't make a conscious choice to remove them, they just they become a permanent part of you. Okay, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll get into this subtraction principle. Then we'll look at your inner world, your connections with others, and even the modern chains that tie us down. And finally, we'll see how getting rid of all that stuff helps you find, well, the real you. So let's kick things off with this core concept. It's a really simple, but honestly, a super powerful shift in how you see things. And it's the foundation for everything else we're about to cover. Just look at this comparison. On one side, you've got the usual advice: pile it on, more goals, more habits, more hustle. But the truth? Real progress comes from making space. It's about getting rid of the noise so you can finally hear yourself think. It's about dropping all that emotional baggage that's just weighing you down. And yeah, cutting out the things that are secretly sucking the life out of you. Okay, so where do we even start with all this subtraction stuff? Well, the most powerful changes always start on the inside. Before you can change your world, you've got to free your own mind. So let's dive into those internal battles that are basically holding us hostage. We're going to zoom in on three big ones. Three things you can just quietly delete. First, that harsh inner voice. Second, the idea that you can control everything. And third, that heavy, heavy guilt that, let's be honest, probably wasn't even yours to carry to begin with. Seriously, just think about that for a second. The way you talk to yourself, you'd never say those things to a friend. We punish ourselves for every little mistake. We just tear down our own efforts. And we think it's helping, but this constant self-criticism, it doesn't make you stronger. It just wears you out. Every single time you do it, you're literally training your brain to feel more shame and fear. So this isn't some tool for growth, okay? It's straight up self-sabotage. The very first step to changing is learning to talk to yourself like you actually matter, because you do. Oh, this is a huge one. We all do it, right? We cling to control because it feels safe. We have this belief that if we can just manage every single outcome, nothing bad will happen. But life just doesn't work like that, does it? The harder you try to control every person, every situation, the more anxiety you create for yourself. Control isn't a shield. It's a chain you've locked around your own ankle. Real peace, that comes when you finally let go of the things you never really had power over anyway. And that brings us to a really important difference we need to talk about. See, there's genuine guilt. That's what you feel when you go against your own values. But then there's something called programmed shame. And that's totally different. That's the guilt somebody else puts on you, usually with manipulative lines like, "I'm so disappointed in you," or, "Well, this is all your fault." It's not about your values. It's a tool they use to control you. Deleting this means realizing, once and for all, that their expectations are not your burden to carry. So what happens when you start cleaning up that inner world? Well, you naturally start seeing your relationships in a whole new light. So let's talk about that. Let's look at how this whole subtraction idea can completely redefine how you connect with other people. Okay, let's talk about social validation addiction. It sounds technical, but it's basically a quiet, hidden prison. It's that constant need for everyone to understand you, to approve of you, to see you the way you want to be seen. When you're stuck in this, you're basically handing over your self-worth to other people. Someone disagrees with you, you feel awful. Someone misunderstands you, you immediately think it's your fault. Real freedom begins the moment you accept that not everyone has to get you, and that's okay. Let me ask you something, and be honest with yourself. Do you feel like you always have to justify your choices? Like why you said no, or why you changed your mind, or took a different path? If the answer is yes, you're probably in the habit of over-explaining. And that habit usually comes from this hidden belief that your own decisions aren't good enough on their own, like they need someone else to sign off on them to be valid. And here is the antidote. It's so simple, but so powerful. No is a complete sentence. You don't owe anyone a dissertation for taking care of yourself. Your boundaries are valid even if other people don't like them. Your choices are valid even if no one else gets it. Just let that sink in for a minute. Here's another thing to quietly delete from your life: confusing people. You know exactly who I'm talking about. One day they're your best friend, the next they're cold and distant. That inconsistency creates this crazy emotional roller coaster. And the weird thing is, our brains can actually get addicted to it, chasing those unpredictable highs. But listen, healthy relationships aren't confusing. They're calming. Emotional stability is not boring. It is peace. And this really gets to the ultimate danger of being a people pleaser. Every single decision, every reaction, it all gets filtered through this one question. What will they think of me? And over time, that just erodes who you are. You literally forget who you would be if you weren't constantly auditioning for everyone else's approval. Deleting this need isn't just a small change. It's about taking yourself back. All right, so we've looked inward and we've looked at our relationships, but a lot of the chains holding us back, they're forged by the modern world we live in. So now let's tackle the unique challenges that come with living in this crazy, noisy digital age. And when we say consumption, we're not just talking about food here. We are talking about consuming everything that gives you that quick, easy hit of dopamine. You know, the endless scrolling on your phone, the 24/7 news alerts, the cheap stuff you buy on a whim. This constant flood of input, it actually dulls your mind. It shortens your attention span. It's literally rewiring your brain to only want instant gratification. It's the ultimate trap of passive consumption. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? You compare your behind-the-scenes reality to someone else's highlight reel. That is the fundamental, broken logic of social media comparison. You are intimately aware of your own struggles, your doubts, your messy reality, and you're comparing all of that to someone's perfectly curated, filtered best of the best moments. You don't see their bad days, you don't see their insecurities. It is a completely unfair comparison that is basically designed to make you feel bad about yourself. And that's exactly why you have to change the game. Just delete the habit of comparing your journey to anyone else's. The only comparison that actually matters, the only one that's fair, is you today versus you yesterday. That's it. That is where real, lasting growth actually comes from. Okay, so what actually happens when you start quietly deleting all of this junk from your life? Let's bring it all together. Let's look at the incredible transformation that can happen. So here's the payoff. When you finally let go of that inner critic, when you stop needing everyone else's approval, when you cut down on all that noise, something profound starts to shift. You stop performing, you stop pretending, you stop pleasing. You get yourself back. And maybe for the first time in a long time, your mind actually feels like it belongs to you. And if you remember one thing from all of this, let it be this. Real growth isn't about becoming more. It's about shedding everything that isn't you. It's like peeling away layers until you finally get to the core of who you've always been. It's about removing all the stuff that gets in the way, that drains you, that hides your authentic self. So I'm going to leave you with one final question. You don't have to make a big announcement. You don't have to explain it to anyone. Just ask yourself, what is the first thing, the very first thing you are going to quietly and intentionally delete from your life, starting right now?